Welcome all to the weekly outlook. Bernie here from EWPRO. So getting straight into the weekly outlook, looking at DXY, we got the 5 down on the daily. I was looking at A, B, C. We never got that C down, and then I was looking for a C up. That never eventuated, and go back last week's video and you'll see what I was looking for on the monthly. So we're looking for this top here to be broken. This is very tricky at the moment. We don't have any bearish divergence on the on the daily. So why this trend line in here holds, you can still look for buys. On the H4, we don't have any bearish divergence either, and we're looking for that Z up. The problem is this here is still looking rather, this is looking rather bearish. We're looking at that WXY, X2, we got the bull hidden here. So we're looking for that Z up. It's looking rather bearish in here though. So be careful, we may get another one down and then give us that Z up. AU on the daily. So this one's played out. We're down to that first target, that 123.6. So we're looking at WXY, X2. This one bounced off the 100 pip on the H4, and we've got that Z down, down to the first target. It still can get down to the second target, the 161.8, and it is still looking rather bearish. Like this is looking very impulsive. Looking at the H4, we just got the one move down, so it's really risky to start be selling until you get a correction. You want a H4 correction now, before you look for more downside, or else you're buying at a bottom. You're selling at a bottom, so you have to be very careful. On the H1, we don't have any bullish divergence, so if you do get sell setups, you can scalp them, but they're only going to be scalps. You just want to get in, get out, and yeah. And for your buys, if you're looking for the buy, you want to break out, and then your bullish setup for the larger correction on the H4, and you only be looking for a C up at this stage. EU on the daily. So this is similar to DXY, like I said, mentioned last week. So I was looking for an A, B, C. We never got that C up, and then I was looking for the larger C down. Instead, we're getting in here, we're getting a WXY. So I'd be waiting for your X2 and then look for your Z down in here. This still may be a larger flat, like we get an A, all this is a B, and then we get a C up, and then we get that A, B, C. So that's sort of what I'm looking at on the daily. Looking at the H4, we don't have any bullish divergence, and I'm looking at WXY, X2, and then a Z down. If you look here, we are getting sort of a bullish setup here, so you could look for a move up here. You could look to take this if you get a buy setup on the lower time frames, but just be mindful, we do have possible bear hidden here, so more than likely it's just going to be an A, B, C on the lower time frame, and then we get another one down for this wave Z. So just be mindful of that. GU on the daily. GU is playing out nicely. We're looking at that well, I was looking at an A, B, C. We still haven't quite hit that 100 fib first target, but we've lost all the bullish divergence. So this may keep on coming down to this 161.8 or to the 123.6. We have to, it's still looking bearish, so and we don't have that bullish divergence. So either way, I think we're still going to get downside. Even if we get a correction here, I think it will only get a correction and then more downside if this doesn't turn into a wave Y. Because we don't have that bullish divergence. So looking at H4, we do have that bullish divergence. So we've got an A, B, C. Now, like I said on the daily, you know, I dare say we'll just get a bearish setup in here and then more downside because we don't have that bullish divergence on the daily. So I'd be a little bit careful with buying this. If you on the H1, I think we've lost the divergence here as, oh no, we do have the bullish divergence. We're still within that trend line. We still haven't broken out of this trend line. More than likely, this is going to be a larger correction for an A, B, a running or expand. Well, at the moment, it's just a regular flat. But we know in a B wave, if we look at this as an A, we know in a B wave, it can break the low and then give us that C up for a running or expanding flat and then more downside. And that's sort of what I'm looking at. I don't think this is the end of the move. I don't think this is the low here. We'll get an A, B, C as a running or expanding flat and then more downside. So you can look for the buy, but be very mindful that it's more than likely just going to be a C up and then more downside. NU on the daily. So this is rather tricky. I'm looking at this as 1, 2, 3. Then we got 1, 2, 3 up. So I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is a large B wave in here. And then we get that A, B, C for a running flat before we get an A, B, C. So it's turning quite complex. On the H4, if you're going to trade it, we're looking at, like, you really need the X2. We're looking at W, X, Y, wherever this wave Y ends. Wait for your X2, and then you can look for that Z down. That's the safest way. I'd wait for a correction and then a sell setup. So you might be sitting on the sidelines for a while if you're trading this one. UY on the daily. So we're looking at that ABC, ABC. We did have bearish divergence there. It didn't get up to the first target, that 100 fib, but it's now looking very bearish. Looking at the H4, we got that Z up. We got the W, X, Y, X2. We got that Z up. And like I said last week, you're looking for a sell setup. Any sell setup you get, look for that sell setup. The Swissy on the daily. So this one's playing out pretty much as expected. We're looking at that A, B. We're now looking for this internal C wave down. We got the C up. We got the internal A, B, C up. It broke this high over here. And we're looking for that downside. On the H4, there was that possible bull hidden. We do have, and we still do have that possible bull hidden here. So we really want this low here to be broken, but you can see that we are getting a bearish flag in here. You know, you can look for the sells, and if it does break that low, well, then you can hold it. But yeah, you still have to be a little bit careful with this one selling, because there is possible bull hidden. This one will be a larger correction. It won't be an X2, but we may get a higher high here before it does actually fall over. UCAD on the daily. So like I've been saying for ages, we got an A, whatever's happening in here is a B, and then we get that C up. We're getting that C up now. Our target is at 100 pip as the first target, and the 161.8 is the second target. On the H4, again, we really need to wait for a correction. We've got a WXY. We really need to wait for that X2, and then you can look for that Z up, possibly up to that 100 fib first target. I'd be waiting for a correction now. We're getting internal bearish divergence on the H4, so I'd be more inclined to wait for the X2 and then trade that Z up. GY on the daily. So this played out nicely. We got that WXY, X2, Z up to the first target, and now we're getting that trend line break. Any bearish setup you get in here, look for the sell, and we're looking for that 50 fib retracement as your target. On the H4, we're looking for that ABC. It's come down to the first target, that 100 fib. We do have, yeah, we do just have bullish divergence, but that may change, and this may keep on going down to that 161.8, and we get a like a WXY, X2, and then a Z down. Why this trend line here holds, you can look for self setups on this one. I think we are at that 100 fib, so you'd want to wait for a decent size correction on the H1 before you look for the sell. EG on the daily. So we got that WXY, X2, Z down. It comes down to that first target. This one's quite tricky because we got that big move up here, and then it come back down. We had that bear hidden here, and it come down and broke the low again. Now we have that bullish divergence, and we starting to get this trend line in here broken. We go down to the H4. H4, like I said last week, it is very tricky still because we don't have bullish divergence. We lost the bullish divergence on the H4. There was a nice buy setup in here. We're starting to break out. Ideally, we break above this top. We get a nice impulse up, and then give us a correction, and then we all want to be in that buy. Yeah, for the longer term. Gold on the daily. So gold is quite tricky as well at the moment. We got that WXY, and then we looking at that A, B, C, but we got three waves up in here. So again, we got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we may get 5 down in here before we get another one up, before we get an A, B, C as a larger correction. But there also is a chance that this here is a flat in here. Just looking at the price action, we may get an A, B, C in here as a running flat, and then we get an A, B, C up in here, and then we fall over. And that's sort of the way I'm looking at this structure in here at the moment. So if you do get a buy set up on this, it might pay to give it a shot. Like I said last week on the H4, we do have bull hidden here. So we still have bull hidden. And why this bull hidden is still valid, you can look for that buy. So if you do get, we're getting the trend line break. If you do get a bullish flag or bullish correction, you can look for that buy if you get the buy set up and to go and break this top. So if I do see a bullish setup next week, I will be looking to buy this because we still have that possible bull hidden here. Okay. WTI on the daily. So this one gave us the 5 up as well. We got that WXY, X2, Z up, just about up to the second target. It didn't quite hit that second target. We got a nice trend line break. Any bearish setup you get in here, look for the sell, and you're targeting that 50 fib. On the H4, we don't have any bearish divergence, so why this trend line here holds, I'd be looking for the sells. Looking at the Bitcoin on the daily, we got that Z up. We're still within this trend line, and like I've been saying, I can't rule out, we do have that bull hidden here, so there is a chance that this is an expanding flat and we get another one up here. Or even if we just look at it as a WXY X2 and then a Z up, there is that chance, similar to gold. We get that flat, running flat, and then we get another high. So I definitely can't rule that out. This was quite tricky on the H4. We got this WXY X2 and Z down. Now I was looking for an A, B, C up in here, but this, we didn't sort of get that C down, and then it just fell over. We got the trend line break and a larger correction. We had bear hidden here, so like I said last week, more than likely this will go and break that low, and that's what happened. Now we have the bullish divergence, so you know, you can look for that larger correction. I'd be waiting for your trend line break and a bullish setup before you look for, and I'd only be looking for a C up, and then you'd be looking for the downside sell setup. SPX on the daily, we got that C up. It got to the 100 fib, so eventually I'm looking for that larger correction back to the 50 fib. We're still within this trend line here, so it's quite tricky still. This is very choppy on the way down. This is, you know, very choppy, so it's extremely difficult. It's not really impulsive. We don't have any bullish divergence, so why this trend line here holds, you can look for sells still, but extremely, if we go down to the H1, we got that Z down, the first target, and it's come back and hit the second target as well after we got a really deep correction. We're starting to get bullish divergence now. I'd be waiting for a trend line break, an A, and then trading it as a C up and possibly more downside. If you do get the bullish setup, you know, I'd just be moving it to break even when you can get it to break even, and it may go and break that top. We just don't know yet. But yeah, and if it does take you out at break even, you know, you'd be looking for that sell setup to sell to go and break the low for another 5 down. AU on the daily, so this one's quite tricky as well, because we've got an A looking at B and we're looking for that C at targeting that 100 fib. On the H4, we got the nice correction in here. We got the A, B, C, and then we got that A, B, C, giving us that bearish divergence. We don't have any bullish divergence, so you can only really look for sells. The only way you can sell this now is put a sell stop under there, as some sort of A, B, C as a running or expanding flat, to get more downside. You could go down onto the lower time frames and get a, you know, wait for this wave up here, and then wait for yourself set up on the lower time frames and look for that sell. Looking at the DAX on the daily, so we got the 5 up on here. We got WXY, X2, Z up to that first target, and now we're getting that trend line break. So you can see it consolidating in here. So any sell setup you get, look for that sell, and we're looking for that 50 fib target, 50 fib retracement target on the H4. We're getting a, you can see that we're getting a correction in here. Wait for this correction to be over and look for your sell setup. The FTSE on the daily. So still got that trading view idea out. It's still very much valid on the daily. We got that first target, second target, and third target. So there is a possibility, like I said, this is a running flat and we get another upside. This is why this is my first target here, like I explained a couple of weeks ago. So I'm still looking for bearish setups, you know. On the H4, it's very, we don't have any bearish divergence. We're waiting for that X2. We got that WX, we're getting a wave Y. We got that wave Y and we're nearly crossed up for the X2, and then you could look for that Z down. So we're looking for that Z down. So I'd be looking for any sell setup, look for the sell. So I hope you enjoyed the weekly outlook this week. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you out there next week.